Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this live event. This is the second time that we're doing this type of events where I'm going to, you have the Zoom link on the top as a pinned comment, basically. And you will be able to join the Zoom session that I'm broadcasting from. So it's not just a one-sided thing as we did so far on YouTube that we with higher vibrations are talking about something and you can just post things into the chat box. You can actually join the Zoom meeting and let's see how it works out. So anyone who is interested and wants to join us, it is in the pinned comment here in the chat box. And you can join the session. I will admit you and we can also have a conversation. So if anyone who has joined us already on YouTube, hello, Donna, anyone who has joined us on YouTube, then you can communicate with us through the chat box on YouTube. And if anyone wants to join the conversation more directly, then join the Zoom session. And there, please raise your hand if you want to speak so I can enable you. And anyone, depending on how much of us will be present, in roughly like 3 or 5 minutes, keep it short relatively, like what you want to share or ask, so everyone can have time to express themselves. And generally, that's about it. So this is a public meeting. No, but don't tell stuff about yourself that you want to be removed later on. So thank you for everyone who has joined us. Thank you, Donna, for sharing your visuals and being at home. Okay. So yeah, in general, the topic for today that I wanted to talk about is empathic abilities. Like that was the first thing that I wanted to talk about. And the general theme that kind of came through before I started this session was how to like turn around the perception of your abilities to something positive and constructive. Because like many in the beginning, when people start out their awakening journey and they discover that they're empathic and it's horrible because you feel everything and you perceive so many energies and it can be very draining. And also it can be dangerous if you like attract diseases and physical conditions from other people. So people who are like, don't really know what it is or how it works or how you can train yourself to use these abilities, then they can take it as a curse because it is a not so easy condition to be in while you're here on planet Earth, because it is super dense here. Many people have, or at least every person has some kind of problem that they're struggling with, and we feel it a lot more. We receive those energies much more intensely than maybe an average person would. So for us, navigating public occasions or being in a difficult family situation is like extra difficult because we can feel it to a much deeper level, what is happening, and also what is happening inside of us. So many people in the beginning perceive it as a curse, but I will try to shed some light on it and flip that around. And instead of like seeing it as a burden or a curse, try to see it as a superpower that you have, that many people don't really are able to tap into and use it to its fullest potential. So hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. I'm sending you much love from Transylvania. So anyone who's from the other parts of the world, much love to you. They can also write it in where you're from. And I see that Aziz has asked something. Can I ask Guardian of Orion about the plans regards the children of Gaia who are awakened? Is there a timeline when those children will be able to join the Galactic Federation? Okay, well, I guess like this could be probably a better question for the channeling session that we're going to have on Thursday in 2 days, which will also be a open Zoom meeting. Like in a nutshell, as far as I understand it, like we're quite in the middle of the grand awakening as the collective is waking up. And like we are the so-called experts who are sent in to like be the trailblazers and like figure out how this whole Earth experience works, so we can like show the way to the children of Gaia, as you have stated. And yeah, I guess this is going to be a very, very lengthy process because many people like kind of have to basically grow up and own their own stuff in order to step into the phase that you have suggested, that to join the Galactic Federation, or however anyone wants to call that. I won't say organization, but group rather. So in order to join that in a conscious and more integrated way, like we have to grow up as a species, and that's going to take us quite some time. We're very much good at avoiding the growing up stuff, but yeah, like the past few years have kind of forced the entire collective to grow up and own their own energy, to set boundaries, and to decide what they want to have in their life and what they don't want to have in their lives. So, hey, hello, dark side of the moon. Thank you for sharing your visuals too. Hello. Okay, so I see that we have many people from Seattle, California. Awesome. So thank you for joining us. Okay. Okay, yeah, like if anyone wants to say or add something on Zoom, please do raise your hand and I will enable everything that I can on technical side. Okay, so let's jump back to our topic. Hello, Jenny. Let's jump back to the topic of empathic abilities. So in general, I will like start like a very brief summary in the beginning of what does it actually mean and how can it like manifest. But also in the chat or in Zoom, if you want to share like your initial experiences when you started to find out that you have empathic abilities, or it's actually a thing that we didn't really know that there was a word for or something similar. For example, in my case, and what I heard also from many other people, is that there is like a specific way that we view situations, people, and basically average stuff that to the average person will be considered normal, but we like have a different view on everything because we like see in a natural way all things that exist from a different perspective, from a much deeper perspective. Like, for example, we tune into different types of energies very easily. Like people would coin us like being overly emotional or something, or too sensitive. But basically it's just like untamed or like untrained empathic ability that you still haven't realized that you have, and you're just things that are just happening to you, which is kind of the most difficult part of it, because it's very difficult to function in this dense environment when you don't keep your abilities in check, basically. But in general, like for example, as I was growing up, I always had like a different perspective on like a person that I saw. Like whenever they were like expressing themselves or just being in front of me, I was like getting like so much information about them, or like where they were, who they are, what were they going through, or what kind of childhood they had, or something similar. And the weird stuff when I was little, like I had difficulty like holding my own energy, and I didn't even know like this was a thing back then. For example, depending on like who I was interacting with, or like what types of children I was playing with when I was little, like after a few minutes or some time has passed, I started to like take on their traits, the way they were talking or behaving, or very like the nuances of how they were expressing themselves. And as I was a kid, I was like thinking about it that, oh my God, like I'm such a weak person, or like I don't have a personality at all because I'm just taking on other people's traits and I'm just mimicking them and I don't even know who I am anymore. But yeah, like later on, I found out that that's kind of a trait, that's how it works. But yeah, you have to learn to use it. So, okay. Hey, Jenny, so you're the second person during these events. Hello, thank you welcome to the show. And yeah.
I was just thinking about, in my experience, something that I find interesting more as an adult is that like the difference between what people say and how and that's where I get a little bit like overwhelmed, because I always am more connected to like the energetic field than whatever's being said. So someone can say, "Oh, I'm great. I'm having a great day." But if their energy is telling, like you said, like a whole story that's not that,
or the opposite of it.
right. And I think that's actually like most people, and that is something that I really struggle with. Like it literally in my body, like it feels not just upsetting, but it's like I can't compute, which makes me kind of not great at like being an adult in the world that we live in, because it's just sort of very acceptable to sort of be more superficial, I guess. And I think always like what's left a bigger impression has always been like the energy information, which is hard. Like you said, it's hard to stand across from someone and get all this information about them that they're not telling you, but that is nonetheless completely accurate, right? And so to sort of balance that like playground, kickball or whatever with like, oh, my heart is hurting, or my parents are fighting, or I'm bad at math, or whatever the thing is that the energy field is sort of telling. So yeah, I just think that's interesting. And it's something I've not figured out,
Yeah, I think for all of us, it's like a work in progress. Trying to like cope with it and like function, like be functional adults in a society.
Yeah, I'm not great at that, and but I think something that I've learned, like you said about strengthening, like because as a kid I would just absorb everything. It's adults, kids, pets, plants, like it's not human specific, right? And so I've always been, it is a gift, but it also is very it's a lot of work to protect, and not that there's anything bad, but just to protect my own sort of field, like you said about feeling weak. Like I've never felt weak. I just felt kind of like, well, this is how I am. But I've seen the way that it's definitely like drained my physical energy over at times. And I try to be more mindful, and like 10 times a day, I like try to release the energies that aren't mine, even if they're not like bad or heavy, just because it's like, what's mine, what's not mine, what's mine, what's not mine, So that I haven't figured out really a super solution, but I'm still here making it work.
We've managed to survive so far. Okay. So yeah, like in general, I also think that PP has asked that, can you please explain something to differentiate my energies from others? Like just as Jenny has said. Yeah, like the best thing that I heard so far is basically from, I think, Olivia Gretchen Bouchard. She also has a YouTube channel. And basically the best method for that I learned is that go somewhere where you're alone, for example, in nature, or somewhere where it's like very peaceful, energetically and neutral, and just try to experience yourself. And like during the days, just like let all the excess energies just shed from you and like leave it behind, and try to experience yourself as purely as you can. Because like just as we shared previously, it's like when you were like exposed to so many energies for such a prolonged period of time, for example, if you live in a crowded city where you meet maybe dozens of people a day, like all that energy like rubs on you, or like you take it with you to a certain extent, even if you like manage your own energies, it can still happen. And yeah, like after a time it like clutters up and you just don't really know like, where do I begin and where does the other person end? Or like it just like kind of blends together. Like yeah, like that's the very tricky part of it. And yeah, like the best way is like to isolate yourself, preferably in nature or somewhere where you're distant from the noise. Basically when you're like distancing yourself from that static that like human beings emit, especially like it's something similar to like even if it's like silence, maybe in the city or in the group, but like everyone's like mind chatter is like being like emanated like a radio tower or something, and they're like all overlapping and you're in the middle of it, and like that energetic static is like always around you. So when you're like constantly like immersed in that, it's like difficult to, I know, like to get a sense of who you are. Basically it can still be done. Like that's kind of how I learned it in the hard way, to be honest. But spend as much time in nature or alone as you can to like discover who you are. And don't be surprised if like it's always changing. So whenever you like reach a new level, or you like do something else, or you reach a new phase of your evolution, it always changes. So you kind of always have to rediscover who you are. and what you're capable of. But the more energy you put into this self-management of managing your own energies, the easier it will be. And the more energy you put into cleansing yourself, then the easier it will be to manage your day-to-day basic activities too, because then you're like not dragging as much extra energy with you all the time, especially energies that are not yours at all. So that's the most difficult part of it too. And since I'm not sure, I'm going to read one of the questions, and after that I'm going to go into the phase of like how to manage that. I look for, and it was written by Parvos, I'm not sure if I pronounced it correctly. I look for resonance points within me that are bringing up the particular perception and heal them within me, and quietly, non-verbally extend that healing field to the external force that triggered it. Yeah, like that's great. Yeah, like that's kind of why we are here on planet Earth, to like take on all the nasty energies and heal it within ourselves. It's a freaking difficult process, but that's kind of why we're here, to like be these energetic water filters. Like I think like higher vibrations said it, like we're like water filters, like the dirty water like goes in and we cleanse it and like release it onto the world to be pure again or something. Yeah, like that was pretty difficult, basically. I also see that you had some questions in the chat box on Zoom. Okay, so, okay. Yeah, I said, like Jenny said, the COVID lockdowns was the first time I ever could figure out what my energy was like really clearly, because I was alone for a long time. Yeah, like that whole period was like so, I mean, energetically it was awesome because it was so much calm and peace. And it was so crazy that we're also living in a city, and like around us, like everyone's like so calm and peaceful, like you know, a weekend evening energetically, because like everyone's staying at home and relaxing. So yeah, like the best way is like find some place that you enjoy being, and you can be alone as much as you can. And also like regularly, like put some time aside for yourself, like on a weekly basis or on a daily basis, if you can, like 20 minutes or a half an hour, to like do some management and do some maintenance on yourself energetically. Like that's super important, and that will definitely like make it your whole process more easier. So there isn't like a quick fix or like something that you can do once and that will like do it for you, or like resolve all your issues for your entire life. Like that's not how it works. It's just like very similar how it is with your physical body, that you constantly have to be like mindful what you eat, like do sleep enough, or you do enough exercises. It's like the same stuff energetically too. You always have to be mindful of what energies you take into yourself, and like how much rest do you do, like how much do you take care of yourself. And the more energy and attention you put inside yourself to make sure that you are all right, then the easier the whole process will be. So I'm not sure if Mia had a question. Oh yeah, carrying a labradorite stone helps me. Put it in the earth after contact with lower vibrations for approximately 15 minutes and rinse it with streaming water to clean it again. Made a lot of difference. Yeah. I have my organites for that, but yeah, like people enjoy using crystals. I have organite pyramids and metals and all those. I really love them. Basically, it has different types of crystals in it, and not heavy metals, but brass and I think iron powder or something, but they're great transformers. They're also called passive harmonizers because they suck in all the negative energies and transform them into lighter, more loving energies, basically. So, okay. And yeah, like if you need any types of like energetic tools that can help you with the whole process, and it is like highly recommended to like explore it. Like some people are attracted to crystals. There are also these, I'm not sure the name of the company, but they're like they're producing some types of electronic devices that you can like plug it into the wall or into your computer. And basically it is like it's very similar to these passive harmonizers. That is it dragging in all the electromagnetic frequencies and all this basically this unpleasant electromagnetic static that is around us, which is very unnatural. And in abundance, it's not very good for us on any level. And basically takes those energies and transform them back into natural flow, very similar to the crystals and to the orgonites. So if anyone is interested in that, especially if you live in a city, I will highly recommend like researching that. I'm not sure of the company's name. I think it's Mammon or something similar, but I bet you can like find something similar on Google or something. Okay, so let's go back to the navigating part. Okay. So I've seen that someone has mentioned in the chat the violet flame. Yeah, like we were talking about that last week. Yeah, like Aziz, what that harmonizer called again, please? Yeah, like it was it's called orgonite, at least the ones that I have. I'm not sure if this is how it's pronounced, but I think that Google will correct it. Orgonite, and there is, I think it's called, the company is called Mammon. Yeah, like that's some kind of they produce different types of electronic devices that kind of do the same thing that orgonites do, but maybe theirs is much more efficient since it's like specifically made for this purpose. I'm not sure. I haven't tested it out, but many people have recommended it. I guess it's pretty good. If you feel experimental, then try it out and see and share your experiences. Okay. So yeah, back to the transforming our energies. I've seen that someone has mentioned the violet flame that we were talking about last Thursday. And yeah, like that's where the whole maintenance stuff can come in. Okay. You have a very calming presence. Well, thank you. I don't use much violet flame, but I do try to manage my own energies as much as I can. Okay. So yeah, like back to the violet flame, it's like just as we have shared that doing regular maintenance on yourself is like super important. Even if you're a non-empathic person, you have to take care of yourself. But especially in our case, it's like extra important. And one of the best ways to do it is by basically working with these transmutational energies, just as the violet flame is. Like we've been talking about it because it is something that is very much well known in the spiritual community, and it is something that you can learn very easily, and it is there for this specific reason to actually transform all density, fear, doubt, like everything that is like holding you on the lower vibrations, and it is not allowing you to raise higher and to evolve further in your path, basically. So to anyone who is maybe like struggling with like managing their own energies, excuse me, and the energies of others, I highly recommend researching the violet flame, or just check out last week's event that we did with higher vibrations and just learn more about it and how it works. It's like super easy. And I absolutely recommend it for all advanced and beginner users on the awakening journey. Okay. So yeah, like back to the energetic practice. So yeah, like one of the methods is like using the violet flame, but there are many, many different ways you can cleanse your own energy and transform that which you have accumulated within yourself. There are like different cleansing meditations for it. There are a lot of tools also on YouTube. You can also research that and see what you find on YouTube. what other meditations are there? I also know that Steve Noble has a lot of good material, like meditations on these stuff. So you can also check his things out. I haven't watched his meditations for some time now. But yeah, like you can work with sound bowls, go out to nature, do some gardening, work with plants, animals, like all these stuff can really help you like discharge all the unpleasant energies, release them, and basically recharge yourself after that. So there are like many different ways how you can do it. And yeah, like Jenny mentioned, salt bath, that's also great. Like salt is a great neutralizer energetically. Or if you live close to the sea or the ocean, you can go and take a bath in the ocean because like all the salty water is like neutralizing the dense energy that you have accumulated. Or yeah, like if you have access to nature, then it is much easier. The problem is with when you're in the city, then like trying to put some time alone for yourself is the best thing that you can do, and have like regular walks in nature if you can do it. Okay. Yeah, like PP, your violet flame meditations are very helpful. Thank you for your service. Thank you. Yeah, like the violet flame is the best thing ever, especially if you're starting out on the journey. I also think we have a live event when we did a group meditation with the violet flame. It's pretty long, like 50 minutes long, if you feel that you have the time to invest in going deeper into that frequency and doing a thorough cleanse and transmutation of your own energies, then check that out. I think we did it last year or so. We can also do one like in the near future. Let's see what YouTube does with it. Usually YouTube doesn't really like my group meditations. They disappear or something happens to them. I guess they're shifting the planetary consciousness too much or something. Okay. All right, so let's go back to the topic from a different perspective. Okay, so I was setting up this whole concept that the empathic abilities or this aspect of our nature is like not a curse, but instead like you should like shift it around and like see it as superpowers that we have, because like just being empathic in the beginning and being sensitive is just like a stepping stone towards many different other abilities. I remember when I first began like exploring this journey, and I first started to like learn about the names of like what these things are and like how they function, and they felt so bizarre and foreign to me, but at the same time started to make a lot of sense. And the most interesting stuff is that I think most of us kind of start out being clairsentient, which is that you feel stuff like that. That's kind of what we are. Most of us are very much into that, of like feeling different types of energies and like sensing the difference between them, like where they come from and what they mean. But maybe other people are more visual. That's called clear, not sentience, clear cognizance. No, the clear cognizance is the one that when you're like receiving downloads. So for example, if you're in a situation and you're receiving a lot of information regarding the people that you are with constantly, for example, you're just like getting this constant downloads of information regarding everything. Like that's clear sentient. No, that's clear cognizance. I'm not sure, like, I don't remember the name of the, when you see stuff, like, how does that call? That's clear. Yeah, Jenny mentioned the clear audience. Like that's when you hear different types of frequencies or you hear voices in the night, or I don't know. I haven't experienced that. But yeah, like some people hear stuff, like that's how they sense. And yeah, like people see stuff or feel it. Some people have it in the taste, like they sense, for example, with taste. Yeah, Donna, thank you. Donna mentioned clairvoyance. Yeah, I totally forgot that. So that's when you perceive, for example, auras, or you're able to like see the unseen realm, basically, in short. For some people, it may be scary, but it's also a gift that you can have. Yeah, clairvoyance. And yeah, I talked about the taste. I'm not sure how it's called when you smell stuff. Like that's also a thing. I don't know if there's a name for that. I also had that a few times when I was like able to smell people's auras. And I know that some people have this ability like much more refined. For example, I heard that like dogs are also like very much into, so they don't necessarily smell and sense things just on the physical plane, but they're also able to smell things that are not just physical. Although I haven't confirmed that for many people. Okay. So yeah, I also like smelled a few times like auras or like people that I know have passed to the other realm. Like we're no longer in the physical. And I was like, all of a sudden, just during the day, I was just sensing this strange scent, like that they were like associated with in my mind. And I was like able to recognize them through that. So that's a very odd thing as too. Not many people talk about that. But mostly, for example, in my case, is like getting downloads and like sensing. First up, I'm sensing something's happening. And after that, when I like tap into that, I pay attention to it. Okay, like what is happening? Like who is this or what's happening? And I get information from that. Like, okay, like here is all the information that you have requested. Mostly that's how it works with me. But and usually like everyone has like a primary way of receiving information and like navigating this whole situation. And as you like move forward on this path, then all the other abilities are starting to like kick in more and they just kind of like blend together. So whenever something happens or you do something energetically, most of your senses like work together to give you a more fuller picture of what is happening. Just as very similarly as we navigate this physical reality. Like if you want to go to the other side of the street, like you will look around, but you also hear stuff. And so naturally you're like using many different senses together to navigate this reality. And the more we train our etheric senses, then the more they will assist us in navigating the reality that we're going towards. Okay. Okay, so Mia, what about seeing orbs in recorded videos? Also, thank you, Nubia J, for sharing the information. Oh, how does it say the taste one? It's clear gustins. Oh my God, I never heard that before. Okay, so clear gustins. Okay. And the smelly one is clear olfactans. Oh my God, I don't know how to pronounce that. Is that in Latin or? Okay, I never heard that before. Okay, so when you can clearly smell stuff. Okay. So clear salience is a clear smell. Okay, I think I can pronounce it more easily. Okay, so Mia asked about the orbs, like seeing them in recorded videos. Like I'm not sure about that. Like if I think it's like recorded already, it's like, I mean, it's there and anyone can see the recording, I think. Like as far as I understand, like when weird stuff are like recorded on tape, is like I also did some research on this. Like for example, with our physical eyes, we just we can only perceive just a limited spectrum of light. We don't see all that much. And like some recording devices are like able to capture a broader range of light, for example. So if something from another spectrum of light is like marginally like coming close to the range that the camera is able to perceive, then they will kind of appear on the tape, sort of. I guess like that's when like people see those ghosty images because like marginally is like fading into our reality, but it's still not there because it's not of our reality. And like some recording devices can catch those weird phenomenons, and people freak out about those stuff. Like that's the freaky stuff when you see it with your clear eyes. Like sadly, it kind of happens during when the sun goes down. Yeah, like that's the part that I haven't really gotten used to, really, like seeing weird stuff move when the sun goes down from the corner of your eyes. Yeah, like that's the interesting stuff about it. Yeah, like Donna, you're raising your hand physically. Okay. I thought you're going to raise. Yeah, like if anyone wants, if I haven't noticed you raising your hand on the video, then raise your hand through Zoom. Okay, thank you. Yeah, like I see not many people who have joined us. So the link to the Zoom session is pinned, isn't the pinned comment at the top. Okay, I think I asked Donna. Hey, hello, Donna.
Hi.
Hello.
I was just thinking, okay, so how can we use these beneficial gifts of being so empathic that like for helping go ahead? Because, I feel like the benefit I feel like is going through all the experiences I've had and I was very much like you. I remember thinking in my early 20s, like, what's wrong with, I don't even know anything. Who am I? Every time I'm with this person, I'm like this, and I like them and do it so much, but it's like, and then, wow, okay. But then, so how can we use these energies to help with the ascension or whatever we're coming up? So anyway, it made me feel more understanding of everybody, to be more compassionate about everybody, because I could actually feel like them in every situation. So so the question is, what do we do with these gifts in the future?
Yeah, okay. Well, as far as I understand it, is like well, just as you said, like in general, is like we are here to assist people and to like transform all the density and karma that has accumulated. So this is one of the best ways of doing it, of like going deep in energetically, seeing the things and being able to work with people on a level that normally they wouldn't be able to work with. For example, like in our traditional medicine and like psychology and all that, like it's kind of, I wouldn't say like superficial, but they don't necessarily consider all aspects of the human being. They just kind of like work with you, as far as I understand, like, okay, like you're an emotional being, but they just kind of work with you in this lifetime, for example, or just in the surface. But like many of the issues and stuff that we're sensing and going through can come from many different parts of ourselves. And many of those parts are not even this lifetime or not on this level of reality. And like they're like not trained to really work with that. And that's like the woo-woo weird stuff that they're avoiding, basically. Yeah. But that's why you have energy healers and QHHD practitioners and people who are willing to regress you to a deeper state of trance and like work with you on a very deep level, not just superficially, and like actually work with the soul level. Like that's the most important that you can do, is to work as much as you can with your higher self. For example, I still am, although I haven't practiced it in the past 3 years. I also am a QHHD practitioner. That's like the hypnotherapy that was developed by Dolores Cannon, which is like can take people down to the deepest state of trance before you fall asleep, where the conscious mind is being turned off, the ego mind is stepping aside, and that's when the crazy images start to flood into people's mind, and that's the state that it works with. And in that very clear state, basically you're from the perspective of the practitioner, like the subconscious takes over the experience, but you can also see it as the higher self, like coming in, like managing the entire experience, all the things that you see and experience or hear, and to give you all the information that you need on a soul level to work through what you're struggling with at that time. And it's an awesome tool because like your higher self is in control. Like it's not necessarily the practitioner or the psychiatrist that is like leading you on a specific path. It is your higher version of you that knows what's best for you. And it can absolutely bring up everything and anything that is like super unexpected. And it's a great tool to use. So I highly recommend, if anyone is interested, you can find a QHHT practitioner near your place. I'm quite sure, especially if you live in Europe or America, there are quite a few of them. So yeah, it helped me a lot during my awakening process to bring forth all that information. So let's see what else is out there. Yeah, but yeah, I'm sorry, Donna. I just so let's continue what you have said. Okay, so how can we use it? Okay. So yeah, like basically like, for example, also if you're a practitioner or you're an energy healer, or in general, even if you're like a psychiatrist and you're like super empathic and you know how to manage your own energies, like you have a completely different perspective on the people that you work with, which can, I think like in any field of work is like a super huge plus, because you understand people from a much deeper level. Because in general, like we were taught and learned in society to not always show or say the things that we feel or think. And when people are like projecting stuff to you and you sense energetically like, hey, like you're trying to convince me of something, but you're emanating the exact opposite of what you're trying to say to me. And I'm like no, okay. Especially when like people try to deceive you or something, you're like, oh, I'm not buying that stuff, so no. But yeah, like on the basic level, I think like that's an awesome way of like being an energy healer, but it can like also lead to many different other experiences too. Like that's why I called it like a superpower, because in the beginning, like these are the things that you can do like on a daily basis of like how you maneuver with different people. What do you see, or like what type of different perspective you have on reality? Like that's on a general basis on your day-to-day reality, but you can like also push it even further, because like you are able to tap into different types of energy sources, because since you're empathic and you can maneuver with your own body's energies, and you can also differentiate and maneuver with different types of energies, then you're like able to harmonize yourself with different energy sources and like bring it through you. Like that's kind of how healing works too, that you clear yourself, you bring in source creative energy, and like you emanate it and share it with other people. Like that's how Reiki and Prananadi and all those stuff work too. Basically, you're channeling source creative energy to the person who is in need of it. But you can channel anything basically. So I think the greatest stuff in our world have come through the process of channeling. Like you don't have to go into deep state of trance to do it. But for example, like great inventions or like great works of art or music were brought through that state. And you can also books, like sacred writings, sacred texts were definitely like, in my humble opinion, they're all like channeled materials from the higher realms. For example, in my opinion, all the Hermetic teachings are like in part channeled from the higher realms and from different higher aspects of ourselves. And also in our day and age, you have many different people who are channeling higher beings, bringing through important information that can assist us in our evolution. And at this time, this is basically what we're able to use it for, as far as I understand right now. Oh yeah, and it's also great for communicating with other worldly beings, for example, ETs as well, because they're in a higher vibrational frequency. They don't exist in this physical reality as we do, and they also don't function energetically and mentally and emotionally as we would normally do. But if you're able to maneuver energetically and like you're able to like perceive different realities and understand what is happening, and you can also like communicate through that, that basically you have the ability to communicate with almost absolutely anything in the universe, because you're speaking the same language as they are, basically, even though it wouldn't be considered language, but as if type of communication, basically, in a very deep level. So if you learn to, just as Donna said, of like you learn to work with your energies and also learn to perceive other people's energies and like work with that, it's pretty much the same thing with, I don't know, like ascended masters, angels, or extraterrestrials. It's the same principle. The only difference is that the source that you're communicating with is different, and you have to like learn how to work with that, how to perceive it, and like how to come in tune with that specific energy. Like that's kind of the challenge. And there are like different boundaries and limitations of like what you can do or what you can connect with, because like at certain stages of your journey, like you're not able to maneuver your own energy at will as you would like later on be able to do. So there is a specific like cap or limit of like what you can reach or what you can communicate with in a very conscious way. Like that doesn't necessarily mean that you can't have communications with archangels or your spirit guides. It just kind of happens on a different level, on a level that you're prepared at that stage. And later on, as you evolve, then the really awesome and crazy stuff start to happen when you're like, you can communicate very directly with your guides, with your ET friends, your star family, because they're able to send you more complex information, and you're also able to perceive and like understand that complex information on a very superficial level, but also on a very deep level too. That's kind of where this whole part of clear cognizance comes in, that you're able to receive the downloads that they are sending you. Because like these higher beings, like they don't talk like we do. Like a verbal language is like super limited. It's very linear, and it's also super misunderstandable. Like if I say, use specific words, like maybe Jenny understands it in a certain way and Donna understands it in a different way. But that, yeah, like that's kind of the tricky part in our verbal language. But the way they communicate is like they're giving you information dumps. They like, you request some kind of information and they just like unload this bunch of information into your mind of regarding a specific concept or a specific information that you have requested. And yeah, it's a completely different ball game, basically. And you can also get used to that way of functioning as well. But yeah, like that's, I think that part comes in when you're able to like put aside your rational mind and this unpleasant and unconstructive way of like trying to rationalize everything and trying to put everything into box, and they have the ability to explain everything. But when you stop to have the need to explain, rationalize everything, then I think you just like open up to a completely different level of communication, because like you're no longer like setting boundaries on what you can receive. You're just perceiving information, and you're perceiving it and understanding it on a very, very deep level. And in my opinion, like when you're doing these communications, like most of the information and communication transfer is like happening in a super unconscious level. So you may have like a few word exchange of a few words or sentences, but the bulk of the communication like happened on a very deep energetic level, in my opinion, on a level that your ego mind is not able to perceive. And maybe later on, like days, weeks, or even months, like that whole experience will like start to unfold, and you just start to like unpack all the information that you have received. Okay, so let me catch up with the chat box. Okay, so Ben, yeah, star seeds are just different. Heart-based consciousness. Yeah, like star seeds are awesome with the higher chakras from heart up, and we are very lousy with the lower chakras, sadly. We still have a lot of learning to do and integration. Okay, so PP, when empathic children do not fit into the system, how can we support them? Yeah, like well, that's a topic in of itself. Yeah, like we're figuring that one out too. Like we have an empathic little daughter too. Like she's going to be 4 soon. And yeah, like we live in a mountain village. We don't have that many people around us. But yeah, like she's very social and enjoys being around people. So we really like to encourage that. I'm not sure, to be honest. I haven't really managed, and also my wife didn't really manage to like differentiate, like when she is affected negatively by like being exposed to too much. Because since she's like very little, she has like X amount of energy and attention span for a day. So maybe she just played a lot and received many impulses, and that's why she's drained or tired. Or maybe she was exposed to some people's energies that were draining to her. So I think until the point that we're able to like establish more clearer communication with her, I'm not sure if we can like tell the difference. But yeah, like we talked about this whole stuff with my wife way before our daughter was even born, that like both of us like want to encourage her to like develop these abilities, but also to like teach her to function in a rational way and like to maneuver efficiently in the day-to-day life too, because like that's very important too. But we definitely like want to encourage her to like, no, we like I don't know how to explain it. So we always, whenever like she like sees stuff or like weird stuff happen, like we don't dismiss it. Like we are always like curious about it and like want her to, yeah, like so she can explain to us like what she's seeing, like, and to like give her the sense that this is like completely normal. Like it's just because I am not able to perceive it, that doesn't mean that something is not there. And some cases I know that she's seen and senses stuff, because sometimes I do too. And I bet that sometimes it's just her imagination and playing around with us. So yeah, it's kind of difficult to know with little kids. Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay, so still I need to catch up. Okay, so Mona, hello. Hello all. So happy to find you live. Hey, thank you for joining us. I think this is the first time that you were able to, so welcome. Okay, so I'm experiencing strange sounds like drums in my left ear. Has this something to do with Ascension? Yeah, like I think we also talked about like many people talk about ringing of the ears, and also this like strange background noise, almost similarly when you're like underwater, or you will like taking a bath and water like kind of got stuck in your ears, and you have that like very strange, unpleasant background beat in your ears. Yeah, I definitely think it's like part of the whole process. And it's like, well, basically our organ that is like sensing frequencies and sound is our ears. So it's naturally when stuff happens around us, or maybe our energy is shifting, we're receiving like downloads, our ears is basically are reacting to it. So, and stuff like that happens. Like if it's becoming annoying, then like try to center yourself and like do the transmutation and the cleansing of yourself, as we have said like half an hour ago, to basically bring yourself back to center and like even out all the imbalanced energies. because like these stuff can happen when you like receive a huge flux of new energy and you still like haven't balanced it out and you haven't integrated it, and your body is kind of working with it or actually struggling with all the new energies. So Lisa, hello Lisa. Okay, the problem is for me, I've had a lot of very dark beings know who I am, and I'm not even sure who I am yet. Yeah, they usually know a lot more about us than we do. But the way they act, it seems like it's serious business. Yeah, like they don't really want us to become who we came, for what we came here to be. So they try to scare us away from reaching our highest potential. But yeah, like it's kind of the same stuff, just as with people, of like setting boundaries of like what you want to experience and what you don't want to experience. And like doing the energetic maintenance that we talked about previously. Like you can do it on yourself, you can do it on your home, all your surroundings, like transform all those dense deposits of energies, like all the residues that those unpleasant beings have left there, just transform it. And whenever they come, then send them those transformative violet flames to them. And basically the ones that want to transform will stay there. And the ones that were just there to, I don't know, to poke you and just try to scare you, they will just leave, basically. Okay, hey Donna.
So I was just thinking about, so what about like, if can we use our empathy like backwards? I mean, like if we are thinking about dreaming, like what the future is going to be, like if we're dreaming that, like, and feeling into that kind of feeling that way, and then trying to like transmute that out to the world. Wonder, is there any way that works?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think like I only had it a few times of like my higher self, I think, like sending these experiences during dream times of how this I don't know, like high vibrational reality would look like in my case, for like my surroundings and my family and all that. And I also seen the opposite of it, like these dark projections of maybe going down on a timeline that is not for our highest good and humanity too. So I've kind of seen both, and I think like yeah, like just go with the one that you actually prefer to experience. And yeah, I think like most they are like suggestions, just also from your higher self, and also from like unpleasant individuals from planet Earth who like want to take down humanity in a not so positive direction. And for example, when I saw those lower timeline manifestations, like I like did some backtracking on that, like where it was like coming from, like who was doing that. And basically, as I understand it, it was like there were like some beings and like people's tasks to like seed this type of belief system and like information into people's subconscious. So like people who were like not aware and like present, they would just like accept the programming during sleep time because they're like so unaware and unconscious that they're like absolutely like open to everything, and this was just like downloaded into them. So the masses would manifest this type of reality, and with some higher beings we cleaned out a bunch and called in the law enforcement to like remove these unpleasant beings and like stop all this interference. Okay, so yeah, like in short, like we're going to end the session soon. I have to go to bed too. I know that the beautiful people from America and from the Western world, you're just starting your day, so have an awesome day. Thank you for everyone who has joined us for this meeting. And anyone who is still here, then in 2 days on Thursday, we're going to have a Zoom channeling session that will not be broadcast live on YouTube, but still you will be able to find the link in the community section. And most likely I will post it tomorrow. So if anyone wants to join the live channeling session, I will be bringing through my guides during the channeling session, and you can communicate with them directly, ask some cosmic questions, and they will give you perspectives that we wouldn't even think about. So it's an awesome experience. Okay, so thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you for all the brave souls who have showed themselves and had the courage to talk to me on Zoom. Thank you. Thank you, Donna. Thank you, Jenny. Hello, Light Beacon. Thank you for showing that. And also Dark Side of the Moon. I know that each time you have a different name.
Carmen,
Yeah, you will also get Eye of the Tiger on one of the meetings.
I'm everybody.
Yeah, I see you, Carmen. Bye. The dark
Bye,
side.
Donna.
Bye.
I was in the
Hello.
bath, so I kept my avatar on for obvious
Okay.
reasons.
Hey, you did a thorough cleansing. Okay.
I
Right.
appreciate getting to join in, you guys. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for joining. So thank you everyone for being here. Lots of
Thank
love
you.
and see you.